Hi there, I'm Eric Ward-Weaver Sjerven, Gothi of the Ridgar tribe here in East Texas, and this is The Raven's Call. Let me welcome you to the show. This is a show where I ramble on about different heathen-related subjects, just kind of whatever strikes my fancy, sets my mind on fire at the time. Big UPG warning at the beginning of the episode. Like always, this is just the viewpoints of one Gothi, one heathen here in the East Texas area, and is not necessarily representative of greater heathenry. Not that there really is such a thing as greater heathenry. Tribal mentality, can you tell? It also isn't even necessarily a representation of the belief structure of my tribe as a whole. So, disclaimers aside, onwards and upwards. All of my information is down below, so if you guys want to give me feedback, recommendations, show requests are always welcome. You know the drill if you've been following the channel for a bit. If you're new to the channel, check out the links down below. P.O. box is there in case you want to send anything in. Emails, the Facebook group, definitely down there. Check out the Facebook group. I did start a Discord for the Facebook group, the Wordweaver Productions, not too long ago. And the link should be up there. If I need to put up a new invite, I will, because I know those things can expire after a while. But I want to make sure that people that want in it get in it. It's an interesting way to, connect and everything. I'm not a huge fan. I hate Discord. I hate Discord as everything about it. I can't stand it. I don't like the interface. I don't like the program. But folks requested it, so I'm willing to do it. I don't get to get on it very often, but I do try to monitor it for appropriateness and everything. I just don't get to interact very much because I'm, busy, as you can tell. Which brings me to my next point of order, which is for all of you that have stuck with the 2.5 month hiatus that I've ended up taking, I appreciate you. Thank you. Here's the deal. I hit with the new job and Yule and tribe stuff, bringing new members into the tribe, trying to orchestrate game, trying to write a book, trying to get set up to record an audiobook, which I finally have my setup and everything ready. Yes, I need to, in one of the upcoming episodes, I need to bust out the microphone that was sent in by a viewer and show you guys, because that was a hell of a present, and I'm really very appreciative of it, because that means I'm going to be able to record an audio version of the Saga of Bjorn Thorolfson. I'm also actively in development of a new book that I'm writing currently, but it's in very early alpha draft kind of stuff. It's just not there yet, but it'll get there eventually. Don't get excited. Just that's part of what I'm working on. But in working with all of these things, I kind of hit a point of, okay, I gotta stop for a little bit. Something's got to go on the back burner. I just don't have time for everything. So I didn't get to film for a couple of months. Kind of took January and February off. Originally, it was just going to be taking January off, and then I tried to find time to film in February, and it just wasn't there. February went absolutely nuts with my job, and it was crazy. So I'm exploring some different options as far as film schedule and things go. I know there's all kinds of birdies in the background and stuff right now because it's springtime in Texas, and you know what that means. Birdie mating calls all over the place. It sounds like, the red light district of the aviary in here. But I'm looking at maybe doing some nighttime filming, which means I'll be filming inside. I don't know. I'll play with the schedule and figure it out. But I am looking to bring back the presence of the Raven's Call on YouTube again. I've been doing a little bit on TikTok, but really not very much. I have been out of commission for about 2.5 months. Honestly, couldn't even get very much writing done. I'm hoping to get that jazzed back up here pretty soon, because I just couldn't. I ran out of juice. I ran out of spoons. Yeah. Burned all my spell slots. Didn't have anything left. So you guys know how it is. So I had to pull back a little bit, but I think we're getting there. Things are starting to slow down a little bit with the work, and I think I'm finally getting to a point. So thank you all who have stuck with the channel and are still watching now. I appreciate that, and I thank you for tuning in. So let's go ahead and jump into today's subject. I remember that this was a request, and unfortunately to the viewer that sent in the request, I don't have my email pulled up with your request right now, or message, or however it came to me, but I do remember that this was going to be the next topic I was going to do. So I can't give a shout out to your name because I don't remember off the top of my head, and I'm squeezing this in to film, so I don't have time to go hunt it. I grabbed the opportunity and decided to jump with it. But there was a viewer wrote in who was going trucking. He's a trucker and was looking to do cross-country stuff and was trying to set up altar stuff in his truck for the traveling heathen. You know, for those that are doing heathenry on the go, those that are living out of their truck, living out of a suitcase, whatever it may be, whether you're traveling. This person's particular situation was that they're a trucker, so they've got the cab of the truck and everything to work with. Other individuals that may be doing heathenry on the go may be salespeople, they may be drug reps, they may be all sorts of things where traveling is a major part of their lives. You may be, filling in temp at different job sites. Oil field is a big thing. And one of the things about traveling is that you want to have an altar. You want to have your space set up so you can do your rituals and everything. And it's exceedingly difficult when space is at a premium. How do you manage that? How do you work with that? And what is the trick to, being able to find balance and to find, things that work? Hopefully I've got a few ideas for you, okay? So first off, as far as actually working your rituals, you can do them just about anywhere. That you don't necessarily have to have an altar space to do ritual to the gods and goddesses. The great thing about heathenry is it's all around us. It's everywhere. So yes, I do find that altar work and hogar work, ve work, are more effective because of repetition, because of anchoring and weird. There's a lot of metaphysical reasons as to why I feel like these particular procedures make contact easier and better over time. That's a me thing, but anyway, I do feel like they are beneficial and that the repetition and solid location is not necessarily an essential thing, but is extremely beneficial over time, especially if you're looking for establishing an odal land kind of thing, an anchor point. Travelers don't have that. They can't do that. They're bouncing too much. They're traveling. They may be in one state one day and one state in another, or if you're in Texas, you may be in 3 different parts of the state, which is about like being in 3 different countries. It's just crazy, and trying to find that balance is an issue. So I have done ritual in my hotel rooms before because it's simply just what I had. I have pulled over and done them in public parks. I have pulled over and done them in parking lots, honestly, in my vehicle before. Is it ideal? No, not by any means. But if it's something that you need for you, then you can do this. Especially if it's smaller rituals, because smaller rituals are more hearth cult than they are big tribe cult things. Would I try to do my midsummer bloat or a Yule bloat or something out of the backseat of my car? No, probably not. I probably wouldn't try to set up an altar in the bed of my truck and do this, out in the middle of nowhere. But it can be a thing. It just depends. There's a lot of different factors that come into play. For dedication rituals, you're just trying to keep a connection with the ancestors, or even just rituals of dedication to the gods to show your daily dedication, if that's something that you do. It's by no means a requirement, but it is something that I know some people do. I have certain rituals that I do every day that are my dedicationals, and I do those at a specific place, a specific time. But I have certain rituals, gaiuses, that I set on myself that I must adhere to even when I'm on the road. And so when I do this, I just make allowances for that. And I try to make offering wherever I am for the specific ones. It's hearth cult. I'm not sharing too much of the detail about what it is, which makes it a little bit difficult sometimes to give you context. But the gist is, there are offerings that I do every morning, and these offerings, such as the one to my husfatir, all right, that was an obvious one. Even if I can't be there to give offering to my husfatir, I give a symbolic draft of coffee, because usually I put a cup of coffee out on my husfatir altar, and that's my daily thing. I share my coffee with my husfatir. Well, in this instance, if I'm in Houston traveling for work, I may not have that opportunity, so I may set out a smaller offering. I may go down to a little tree by the roadside, pour a little bit out in honor of them and say hail, and maybe even tell the local Vatir their name and speak their praises and hail them and spread their glory, because Whitehouse Vatir is awesome, and I have no problem with telling the other Vatir, hey, you should respect my Husvatir because they're cool and they're mine and they're awesome. So that's a thing that you can do. But it's a little different when travel is your life. I mean, this is a simple step aside, break from the norm kind of thing. So what is it that you want to do when you travel? Now, some will befriend certain spirits that will travel with them. I've seen it numerous times. It's kind of like a husvatir because like the truck becomes your house. And so I have seen individuals, known individuals, who have had like tomte-style husvatir that travel with them with the vehicle. You know, they still use a little gnome statue as kind of the focal point for that. But I had no doubt in my mind that this was legit, and that because this was an extension of their home, their husvatir was established and protecting that household on wheels, because it was a thing. And I think the husvatir actually quite liked the traveling. Was it the same kind of spirit as you would see in like a house and established land? I don't think so. I don't think the power was nearly there. It was lesser spirit. Didn't have the anchor point to really build a store of power, but it was still powerful enough in what it was doing, and they were a team. It was cool. It was awesome. So this individual would give offering to them every day, would share some of the road snacks that they had, did the coffee thing like I did. Sometimes in the evening would, share a little beer out when they would bed down for the evening kind of thing. Just interactions, regular interactions, but these are, again, smaller. They're not like the big God type things. Can you do some of the big God type things out on the road? Yeah, absolutely you can. Again, varying levels of efficacy depending upon what you're doing and how. But let's talk about some ideas that you can perhaps put into use, okay? So let me put some props up, okay? One of the things that I recognize when it comes to traveling is that space is at a premium. So much so that you really have a hard time storing it. That's one of the big things. So small is key. Small, but still gets the job done. And over time, I've taken, and my wife have taken, to hunting down items that we can use for, small items for our husvatir altar, because we like more size appropriate things to go with their idols and everything. But it dawns on me that these are actually very useful on the road as travel tools. So let's take a look at a few. One of those is a ritual bowl. Now there's a couple of different options that you can do as a ritual bowl. You can find little bowls like this at weird little novelty stores. Your little Tuesday mornings, your Hobby Lobbies, your weird crafty stores that carry bizarre things. And it's just something you've got to be on the lookout. Weird antique places, flea market, side of the road, garage sale kind of shops. Those can be a treasure trove of ritual items if you know what to look for. So this is a little bowl that we picked up at one, and I can't for the life of me remember which store we got it from, but the point was it was one of those kind of stores. I've also gotten a lot of stuff at like Canton Trade Days, which if you're from Texas, East Texas, is just a giant swap meet. But there are stores that are like that too, flea markets especially. So little bowls like this, and it's just a little glass bowl that can be used for offerings. And it will fit, this could fit in a glove box, but I recommend finding a box that is your ritual item box that you place your things in. If you're going to have, whatever items you may use, it's up to you. There's no requisite on that. But a little box that you can carry around with you would be ideal for keeping these things safe and transporting them, and being able to pull them out, go through the ritual of setting them up. And the box itself, especially if you get like it doesn't have to be a deep box, but wider is better, so that you can create a workspace on top of it, and you can actually use the box itself as an altar. So you're doubling up on space. Plus, if it's lower profile but wider, it's more likely to be able to slid up under a seat or under a bedding, whatever your truck setup is, car setup is, it's a little easier to store. So think about your space and where you could fit something, and then remember that surface area on top of the box can become an altar, especially if you are dealing with not having a lot of flat top spaces that you can work with. Okay, bowls like this can be tucked down in there. See, it's got a nice squat low profile. This is a glass bowl, which is not necessarily recommended for travel simply because it can break pretty easy with jostling and things like that, but it is an option. You could wrap it up. You could use foam inserts in your box so that it nestles snugly into a nice little foam insert. Those are easy to find, and then you just cut a square out and then you cut a circle for this to pop down into. You're good to go. Okay, options. Okay, so there's that. There is an alternative to that though, because similarly at these same kind of stores, and sometimes at Ren fairs and sometimes at fairs, art festivals and things like that, you can find great little bowls like this. Now, this is a munsing, which a munsing, like one of my ritual bowls in there is a munsing, and this is one that I've had in reserve for a while because I'm saving it for kind of a special occasion. Not all of them had the little feetsies on it, but you can see the munsing there on the bottom. That's actually kind of a name brand in these, and they're really, really good, really cool bowls, and I snatch them up when I can find them because I love Munsing brand, and I've only found a few in my tooling around, so whenever I find them I snatch them up. They burn great if you want to do wood burning in them because they're real wood and not resin like that last bowl I tried to do on the channel. I mean, the bowl turned out great, but it wasn't what it was supposed to be. So this is genuine wood, as you can tell from the branding on the bottom, and it is fantastic. Again, squat profile, so it'll fit down into a low profile box, and it's got a wide surface area to work with, a good thick rim, good and strong. It's seasoned well, so it's going to hold up better. You may, if you're doing wood bowls, you may look to different food safe oils that you can put on them to keep them moisturized, unless it's a good seasoned bowl. Like this one's been around for so long that it's good and seasoned, and I don't really have to do a whole lot with it. But if I was going to travel with it, I might oil it more frequently just simply because I worry about it drying out. And drying out can cause cracking and things like that. So there's a lot of videos on YouTube about care of wooden bowls, especially if you look into some of the wood turning videos. They'll give you some really good ideas on how to keep them from cracking and some of the processes that go along with that. If it's well made, it'll hold up all right, but even a good well-made bowl can dry out and crack after a while if it's not taken care of. So inside, most of the time, not a problem. Climate controlled environment, you're probably okay. It's going to get enough humidity from the ambient air that it's going to hold up okay. But out in the field, might crack, so keep that in mind. Okay, another practical application. But you could burn it, put runes in it, put designs in it, whatever works. You can seal it, but if you do, please use a food safe sealant. I've used beeswax before. I've used food safe glazes, and they've worked really well. It just depends on what I was doing and which particular item I was using. So keep that in mind. Again, and they're easy to clean for the most part, which is again important. And you got to think, when you're using a bowl like this in the field and you're doing your offerings, pay attention to what your offerings are and kind of plan ahead. If you're going to have, you can do an offering at a roadside stop on a way between two stops, but you're not going to be able to clean the bowl for a while. You may want to choose a bowl that has got a good thick resin or good thick coating, so that it doesn't ruin the wood of the bowl. If it's just like a stained bowl or something like that, and you can't clean it for a while, that may leach into the wood and may cause some issues on down the line, may cause bacteria to grow, all kinds of crazy stuff. Plus, it can just destroy a bowl. So keep that in mind. Or you may adjust your offerings to more dry type offerings, or things that are less likely to get it sticky. Like if you're going to use wine or mead or something that's going to leave a sticky residue on the sucker, that's going to sit for a while and then be more difficult to clean later. But if you use like a water or something like that as your well and then the permeable membrane, that's a little bit more workable and is easily dried out, and then it can dry. So kind of think about what you're putting in the bowl and the type of bowl. Like this guy right here, You could put mead, you could put wine, you could put anything in it, and then it'll clean later without a problem. This guy right here, I probably wouldn't use something like that that's going to either stain the inside or that's going to get super sticky, because it's going to be a little bit more difficult to clean later, unless I put a good thick clear coat in it to help protect it, Okay, so bowls are an option. You also need usually some kind of ritual knife. I recommend something small. You can find a lot of tools online, depending on where you shop around. I recommend hitting up heathen blacksmiths because they get it, especially if you let them know it's going to be a ritual item. They're going to take great care in it, and they're going to create you an item that can be used for ritual that is made by a heathen with a lot of heart. You can find them online. Heck, you can look up Mountain Dwarf Forge if you want to. These guys are awesome, do great work, and I know Sin over there, and he does fantastic work. So, that's an option. There's a lot of really good heathen blacksmiths out there, and just about any of them will be more than glad to show you their wares and to work with you, especially on a commission piece. And if they know it's for a heathen, my experience has been more often than not they're going to give you a reasonable price. Now remember, you're paying a heathen whose job it is to blacksmith, so pay a reasonable price, okay? If you can, don't try and haggle too much. Just because you're heathen doesn't mean anything. You're not their tribe. They get it. That doesn't mean you're one of their people, okay? Don't false kinship your way into trying to finagle a better price. If anything, out of respect, you should be more than willing to pay what they charge. But they are going to get it, and they're more likely to get you what you want, as opposed to like the flash and trash that you may find at a roadside shop. That being said, will the flash and trash work? Of course it will. Any item that you dedicate to a purpose will work for its purpose. It's your intention and the energies that you put into it, and the actual act of what you use it for that make a difference. Quality is going to vary. But so, I prefer these, but does that mean that I haven't used a $5, flash and trash knife from the Ren Fair? No, I have absolutely done that numerous times, and it worked just fine. I just prefer these. Plus, again, compact size, because I could discuss with them, it's travel pack, they get it. Not that that's what this discussion led to this one, it just so happened to be that way, but they knew what was up when they gifted me this one, and they were spot on. This sucker is fantastic. So, it sounds like a commercial. It's not a commercial, I promise you guys. All right. So from there, let's talk a little bit about idols, okay? And then I'm going to wrap it up, because we can come back to this later, and I can talk for hours and hours and hours about different practical things. But all right, this is enough to get you started. If you want to have like a cloth in there, super easy, that you can spread on the top of the box. It doesn't matter what it is. Natural fibers are usually preferable, but to be quite honest, there's no actual literature on why it has to be natural fiber versus a synthetic. Basically, you don't even have to have a cloth. Sometimes it's more about getting in that mental space and facilitating that altered state of consciousness that allows you to connect, because you're the conduit for connection. These are just focal points. These are just tools. It's up to you what you do with them, or if you use them at all. You don't have to use them. I just find certain tools to be super effective in my ritual process, because the process that I have designed over years has been honed down and reinforced through the use of these tools. So, idols, okay? And some people are like, I don't have room for a big idol in my truck or something like that. You got room for this. Look at that. It's like a broom handle that was shaved down. It may have been a broom handle. I don't remember. I'll have to ask Mike. But yeah, this was actually carved by a dear friend of mine, dear friend of mine, my brother man, Mike, and his son. They did these as a Yule present for me, a whole little set of them. And they're fantastic. Love them. They sit on my altar all the time. This is obviously the little Thor that he did. But I think it's an excellent example of how you can take something, and even with, there's not a whole lot of artistic skill that goes into that, right? It's pretty basic. Now, don't get me wrong. Mike's got some cool artistic skill, and his son does really well too. But, it doesn't require a great deal. You don't have to be, super artsy folk to, craft that. That can be done very simply. It's some simple straight lines that come together to form an effigy of Thor. And that can become your focal point that you can use during ritual, especially since it can be held. Obviously, he's got the Thurizaz rune on the back. So, fantastic. Love these. They feel great in the hand. And it's I've treated them with, is it linseed oil? I think it's linseed oil that I treated that with to help kind of protect it and keep it from cracking over the years. Also helps keep the bugs out. So anyway, idols like this are easy to stack in a box, and you can get like one broom handle and carve out a dozen of these and create ones for, you know, each of the gods that you want to focus on. You could even do ones for your ancestors. You could do ones for your Vatir. Super fancy, not super simple, right? Super simple and excellent. And palm of your hand. Could tuck in a pocket. Could definitely fit in the bowl inside the box. And yeah, fantastic. This is one that was made by a tribesmate of mine. How beautiful is that? Nice little Odin statue, right? Block of wood. Literally a block of wood with some simple carving. Now, she did better than I would have done, because I'm not even going to lie, like getting those straight lines and everything in there, nice even curves. Nope, couldn't do it myself. I would not have turned out well. And I've done a little augmenting with some, pen work and everything to help kind of flesh out the line that she did there around the eye. Plus, I really helped what she did to help make the eye pop there, because yeah, she did some fantastic work with that. And it's an excellent little Odin statue that I use sometimes. And this used to be on my altar at my office when I still had the previous office. And yeah, love it. Love it. Dawn did a fantastic job on this one. She actually just recently joined the tribe. She was still exploring the idea when she made this. But super easy. Again, look at that. Hand size. Could easily fit inside that box. Boom. And be transported. You can take all of these items, even redundant bowl. You could take all of this, put it in a shoebox, and set it under your seat, or in the back seat, or in the passenger seat, or in the glove box, or whatever. It depends on the storage in your vehicle and how you're traveling. If you're traveling by suitcase, a couple of these guys make an excellent, tuck it into the suitcase kind of deal. You can even get collapsible bowls, the little like neoprene collapsible bowls that'll like flatten down flat and then pop up to a bowl that's like that deep. There's nothing wrong with that. You can use that. You absolutely can use that as a ritual bowl. Is it ideal? Not necessarily, but if it's what you've got to work with what you've got, It's trappings, it's dressing, they're tools, Are there effects? Sure. I mean, I find that natural elements work better, woods work better, natural fibers work better. Just in general, I do, but that doesn't mean that you cannot use something like a neoprene pop-up bowl to make it work. You absolutely can, if that's all you can do, because at least you're doing something. It's better to do something and not quite hit the mark than to do nothing and miss it entirely. The gods are more likely to appreciate someone who tries than someone who doesn't even attempt. It's the doing that matters. At least you're doing something. It's better to do something than to do nothing. So, hopefully that helped. I've got to get back to work here in just a few. I've got to finish the smoke and then finish typing on some reports. But I wanted to take my lunch break and talk to you guys about this. Try and get back on schedule with some stuff. I'm reticent to use that word. Schedule is not the right word, because I am promising you right now there's not going to be a set schedule for things for a little while. It's going to be kind of wonky. It's going to be kind of where I can fit it in. But Wordweaver has not forgotten you and is coming back. I have some additional ideas for shows that I need to get caught up on. I need to wrap some of the notes and some of the requests that I've got in there into a nice list. And I think I've got like 3 emails in my inbox that were like in draft mode, where I started to type a reply and then got sidetracked because of something and never got to send it. So to those of you I still owe replies, I apologize. Please feel free to email me. Feel free to touch base with me on Facebook. However you like to do it. I will do my best to get back to you. I feel like I'm always making excuses. It's like things are crazy. But realistically speaking, I have worked 3 jobs in the past year. There's been a lot of turnover and craziness in my life. Well, a year and a half. So yeah, there's been a lot of like weirdness in my life. 4 jobs. Crazy. Anyway, So yeah, life is turned upside down, back upright, and upside down again a couple of times. But I'm still going to try and get these out. I'm going to try and make the Raven's Call back on some kind of a track and try to get you guys some content out more frequently. Like I said, I'm playing with some ideas on when I can film and what I can do with it. So stay tuned and let's see what we get. So I can't really say same heathen time, same heathen channel because of that exact point. So in the meantime, hail to you all, thank you, and may your hearth fires burn bright. Okay. Woo, I haven't done this in so long. It's been ridiculous. So, ridiculous. Sorry, getting my Wizarding World on there. Been listening to the Harry Potter books again. I freaking love those books. Anyway, I've been playing Hogwarts too, because, yeah, I love Hogwarts. It's an amazing game. On break. Catch them when I can. Okay, guys. So, since last time, this is obviously going to be a little bit of a shorter video, as is evidenced by the fact that you've already gotten to this point. I say that, but I haven't shot the other point yet. So, I may be completely wrong, and it may be a long video, and I sound like a complete buffoon right now, but I don't know. We'll find out. Anyway, so here's the deal, guys. Since the last time I've done a video, I have had, I'm going to take my hip clip off, I've had quite a bit of gaming done, well, at least a couple of sessions. Getting gaming in has been very difficult these days, which, that's just adult D&D, you know, it's a month to 2 months sometimes between sessions, and then sometimes it's longer than that. But yeah, I've taken my characters on some wild rides here over the last little bit, and they've had a really, really good time, I think. We did a one-shot. Here's a fun thing for aspiring DMs out there. If you ever get like a new character come in that wants to enter the campaign and come in somewhere along the way, you can either just drop them into a full session, which is what a lot of them will do, is be like, all right, well, you come across this character. Or you can do what I like to do and give your other players a break. And this is especially good if you've got like a newbie player coming in who's never played before and needs some time to kind of get to know their character before they're thrust into the meat of whatever your campaign is. We had one of our tribe mates' sons join the campaign here not long ago, and this past session was his first session, and what I did was I created a one-shot around it. Now we're at a particular point in the campaign where something big is about to happen. There's a big scene that's going to occur, and I thought, hey, wouldn't it be fun to play the back end of this scene, everything that leads up to this particular crazy moment, from the other side, from the other point of view. So I crafted a one-shot that ends up with the team going through and then meeting this big, crazy monster and it bamfing out of existence with the new player in tow. Well, you can kind of surmise where that's going. But the entire time, up to this point, we've done an entire one-shot session of them coming in and discovering the big bad and how he breaks free and how he ends up where he's going. It's more of a monster than anything else. And it was a lot of fun. They had a blast. They actually went to calling their one-shot team the Suicide Squad, because it was a team that didn't matter if they made it through this particular thing, which is an excellent opportunity as a DM to do some test runs on some stuff. If you're exploring kind of adding some magical items and stuff to your party as you go through, if you're looking at introducing things and you want to play with some balance stuff, this is an excellent opportunity to say, okay, everybody's going to make, because they're like level 6 at the moment. And I was like, everybody make a level 6 character, and I'm going to give you, a rare magic item, rare major magic item, or I'm going to give you a couple of uncommons. Because, they're only level 6. I'm working them up on magic items. I don't want to inundate them so much that it just breaks the game, but I do want them to have fun with magic items. That's why we're here, to have fun, And so I was like, hey, testing ground, let's go. And so they all got level 6 characters. I outfitted them with something that they might have found along the way in their adventures, and it was good. It was very interesting to test it out and see, just how those items impacted, and that allowed me information that I'm using in the main campaign with these players to gauge where I'm going with their, items and stuff going forward. So great baseline information. Another thing that it does is it helps to prevent player fatigue, especially if you've been going for a little bit. Like we've been playing this campaign for a couple of years now, but it's so intermittent that it's only been like a year of actual like playtime, if that makes sense. And it's very, very little actual in-game time because, each session, even though it's like an 8-hour session, not all that much time is passing in the game itself yet because there's a lot going on, and then combat eats up huge chunks of time for only being like a minute. So, wibbly wobbly timey wimey. But anyway, this gives them an opportunity to try something new and try something different, and they love it. They are jumping all over it. They took this Suicide Squad, and it was absolutely ridiculous because it was a planned TPK. And I tried to hint that to the group. My entire intention of this whole one-shot was get the kid to the main campaign and actually introduce something to wipe the party so that my players actually had an oh shit moment, because up to this point, they've had a couple of like near misses, a couple of death rolls and stuff like that, but nobody's died. There hasn't been a TPK, and they've been doing really well. So I was like, okay, well, let me throw something at you and show you that I am balancing all this and that there are things that are way beyond your capability level, kind of level the field a little bit. But I have this planned exit where this Ruby Dragonborn Paladin, that's a main NPC, only one of his kind in my world, special guy, and he's coming in just at the tail end of this. Deus Ex Machina, because he's a functional and crucial part of the scene going forward into the other side, So he runs up on the scene because it all goes down really fast. There's a breach in this otherworldly dimension. This, I don't want to give too much away because my players may look at it. But anyway, this aberration, large-scale aberration, comes through this portal and just lays waste to the party. They have done their fight and everything with the actual like mini-boss of the dungeon. They did really well. It was a challenge, but they got it done. And then this giant thing comes through, one-shots the entire party, and just demolishes everybody. Then the Paladin comes in. Well, the way they went down, he was going to come in, and the plan was that he was either going to res the player character that needs to go through through this teleportation to end up with the main campaign. He was functionally there to make sure that this kid survived and got to that. Plus, there's story elements as to why. That was going to happen anyway. I just put the kid in the middle of it for fun, And so, as he's coming through, he's going to either tag the kid, scoop him up, and this happens. Or, if the kid didn't go down with the TPK, he was going to res one of the party members and give them their shot, as it were. Because it's TPK, except for the kid's playing a Dragonborn Barbarian. Angel, he's awesome, love him. So Angel's playing this Dragonborn Barbarian, and he survives it, which is crazy. I didn't expect him to survive it. There were some things that played out in combat where he wasn't in range of some attacks earlier on from the mini-boss that would have knocked his health points down to a point that he wouldn't have survived it, but he kept getting pushed back, so he didn't get that damage, and so he survived the big kill shot that knocked everybody else out. So I didn't have to res him. So, since Gladrick, the Rubyborn Paladin, is running through, and that kid's up, he's got his lay on hands ready, and since he doesn't need to res the kid, he reses the next party member closest to him. Boom. And when you know it, the one between him, the stairs coming up, him, and the big bad is the cleric of the party. Yep. So he reses the cleric of the party, and the entire team, through just sheer dumb luck, manages to survive my planned TPK. And so now I actually have to think up stuff to do with this Suicide Squad that they have. And I think I'm just going to throw more and increasingly strange things at them because they're not the main party. That's earth-shattering stuff's going on around them. They're not the main party. They're not main characters. They're side characters, which means they have no plot armor. So I may just be like, okay, here's how we explore the weird, just chaos that's going on in the world around you, and good luck. I'm going to try to kill you. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It may be fun. I don't know. I love this kind of stuff. I'm getting jazzed just thinking about it. But anyway, hail to you all. Thank you. And may your hearth fires burn bright. Let's go to the actual episode now, all right? And we're live in 3, 2, 1. Let's jam.